Welcome, welcome, welcome to Priceline. When we shorted Priceline this last quarter during the earnings season on 8/7, we made about 490% profit on that big short. We're still a bull on Priceline because we know that the European crisis had a lot to do with online traveling and booking. We knew how much money that this thing would have to, we knew how much it would fall. And we did this trade. It's on this site. But we're updating why we are long Priceline. This is this is the big gap down. Here we have a 2-day breakout on a daily. We're above the 200-day simple moving average. We're at about 80% from these lows. It's got gaps to fill in at these shorter resistance levels up here, where major support levels once were before the earnings, right in here. And then the big down move. So what we are going to say is the following. Here we are looking at the Priceline big movement. We just want to reiterate that we were all over Priceline short. Once again, we are a bull on it because it hit the bottom. It's working its way up. You got Europe working for us. You got it. The stock is short term, I would say, in the Priceline name, like CMG that ran $24. This name still is going to be bought at support now. It gapped up $8 on Friday. What they did was, with that gap up, it closed at 604. We're all over the calls. The 600 calls had a 114% gain. The 615 call had a 200% gain. We have a 239% gain on the call over here on the 620 to 630 call had a 240% gain. And a 264% gain up and out of the money. That's at 635, and all of these are weekly calls. One of the things that I'm going to show on Priceline is that 640 call regular. That's a regular monthly now. And I'm going to show the 635 call. The percent gain here on the monthly call, our 625, is that's the put side, but the 631 is 128%, 135%, and 130% all the way up there. And this is a monthly 922. These are weeklies. And I'm going to go to page and I'm going to go to save. Because we have great moves. You got 490% on the downside. Now we can get all these percentages on the upside because we built the base here. We rallied on up below the 200-day moving average, and this is where the big gap down was, and we have all the live videos there and the MMTs. Once again, you were involved in those shorts, and then you were involved in the consolidation. And look at the long-term daily price consolidation, and then finally the gap up and the breakout. All happened last week in the first week of August. I'm sorry, correct me. From the August lows of 31 to the breakout of the first week of September is what I'm referring to. So with the gap up, we had an $8 gap. So you run from 612 and you run up $10.78 to the high. We would look to see where it would drop down here on these dips. So when you gap up and on an intraday level, when Priceline wants to drop down here, let's say we drop down to 612.50. That 200-day simple moving average is 612.59. What we look for in a gap above a 200-day moving average is where this thing would come back down and test right above it and build a base above the 200-day simple moving average and then trigger that daily buy signal. Because when I tell you something, when this thing triggers that daily buy signal, we're breaking higher. Now, why do we like the 640 call potentially up and out of the money? And with all the resolutions and the slowing in Europe, I don't think that a lot has changed. But the belief is that we have a major support level right over here that I would like to highlight. And it's right there on this daily area. That's going to be our short-term resistance, these two trend lines. However, I will tell people where that wall of resistance will be and where we would look at trading it to. And this is going to be 656 right here. Over here, and that was on 8/2 of 2012. This number right here at the resistance level, like I said, is going to be that 640 strike up and out of the money. This was where that correction was, and then that big pop. And then here's the earnings where it got slammed. And once again, it's a leadership of the NASDAQ and the S&P. I can tell you that it would not. We're going to be looking at how this thing will trade up in, all the way through September and into October into its next earnings report. Once it cracks that daily buy signal, my friends, this thing is off to the races. The 10-day simple moving average still remains at 600. We kept building that base right above there at 597, and we were long. That's where the buys were triggered. We're up above the 200-day moving average. It's a bull trend, ripping bull trend that will have challenges now. It built base 1, base 2 with the breakout that follows. Now we can continue to run this breakout starting Monday. So once again, I'm going to get up and out of the money, and I'm going to go to that 640 regular, and I'm going to take a look and see what it looks like on the call, which I'm going to put right here for my MMT. And this is going to be that wall of resistance up and out of the money. And I'm going to go back and just show people before the earnings, these calls were at $60. And these calls got as low as $1.95. Right now, the calls prior to that gap up were only $2 down here now on 9.6. Today is 9.8. What we look at is where these calls could potentially, with that breakout going up to that resistance level, is on this call chart. This is not the stock chart, it's a call chart. But there's 877 right there. But if we're going to go up there, these calls have got they put in their lows down here. They're only $2.60. So the low was, let's just say $1.95. We'll just call it $2, but it was $1.95. So we've made a $2.60 move because they closed at 460. Now, when I look at the resistance levels over here at 639, as I said, trading above the 200-day moving averages, that breakout up there would take these calls back up right around to the $10 area. There's a $6, maybe even more, depending on the level of that breakout and where that money comes piling in and chasing this bellwether leader as a risk-on trade and pile drive that up in the high-frequency model. For us, it doesn't matter how it gets there, but it starts with the big breakout. It starts with the pullback, and then it breaks to the next highs. I've got a bull trend at support levels and selling into resistance levels, and we have put in the bottom, we have put in the consolidation, and it's a leadership stock. Price line, we're all over it. We'll be trading it just like we traded it on the downside. We'll trade it right back up here to the upside. That's the way the bull is working on Priceline. And I do apologize with the audio. Sometimes it goes way up and then down and then puts in these little things there. So just bear with me when you're watching the video. I appreciate that. So basically we got the ranges and we're all over the call side. That is a new bull setting up. When that thing pops a buy signal, this thing is off to the races. And once again, we're going to be adding 2 positions on Priceline Bull.